Hello, Kwesi Millington here, and today I'm going to talk about places to find your stories when you speak. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, what do I talk about? Now, I'll talk about it from two angles, from Toastmasters and non Toastmasters. If you're a Toastmaster, chances are you run into this problem because if you complete the first manual has 10 speeches, the next manual is 10 more speeches, and by the time you become a distinguished Toastmaster, that's 40 plus speeches. So on that road, you're going to run into a little bit of a mental block. What do I talk about? Even if you're not a Toastmaster, if you do presentations or speeches at any level or for anything, whether it's in work or business, chances are you want to find some stories to talk about as well because storytelling is what connects us. If you read the Bible, Jesus told stories through parables, and when you were young, you were told stories by your parents, and if you're a parent, you tell stories to your children. Stories connect us, and we don't have to be kids to be connected by them. So, stories are great to use if you're telling a speech and you have a funny moment and you have a story to back it up. It makes it more powerful. If you're telling a poignant moment and you have a story to back it up, it's more powerful. So I'm going to give you 7 ways to populate your stories, seven strategies. They all begin with the letter F. And at the end, I'm going to give a resource that you can use to populate your stories and also become a better speaker. It's actually where I got some of the ideas for today's video. Now, the first place to find your story is in your flaws. What are some of the flaws that you have? We as audiences like to learn from people who are flawed and are not perfect. Your flaws can become a great story. So think about some of the flaws that you have. Second is your firsts. What are some of the firsts that you've had that can become stories? The first time you drove a car, the first girlfriend or boyfriend that you had. That's an area that you can find your stories as well. The next is your failures. When you fail in life, you show that you're not above anybody else, and the audience connects with you because they say, you know what, he's messed up or she's messed up too. I can learn from that. So what are some of the failures that you've had in your life that can create good stories? Next is your frustrations. What are some of the things that frustrate you about people, about life, anything? Some of the frustrations that you have can become great stories. So think of that as well. Next is the funny stories. We all like to laugh, and I once heard, I think it was Steve Harvey, say that when you make someone laugh, they will open their mind at a subconscious level and accept anything you have to say. So if you have a funny story that you can interject to lighten the mood and make an impact, think of some of the funny things that have happened to you. Think of stories that you just tell friends when you're having a drink. Those funny stories can be used in speeches. Next is your family values. There's an author by the name of Brendan Burchard, and he wrote a couple of books that I really, really enjoy. And one question he asks in these books is write down 3 words that describe you. So, are you reliable? Are you honest, trustworthy? Are you funny? Whatever those words are that describe you, write those down. And I'll take it a step further for stories. Where did you learn them? How did you learn to be that way? What is that core value that if someone paid you $1 million, you wouldn't give it up? Those family values and where you learn them can become powerful stories. And finally is what I call the fire pit. Tony Robbins has a live event where he gets people in a state of mind that they can walk across hot coals. And so that's where I got this term, the fire pit. And it really comes from those deep stories that you don't want to tell anybody. Those things that happen to you in life that you think you should take to the grave. And I don't think there is much, if anything, you should take to the grave because every bitterness, every story that you've gone through that has been tough can teach someone something. So dig down deep and figure out some of those stories as well that can lead to someone's breakthrough. Now, those are the 7 steps: the flaws, the firsts, failures, frustrations, funny, family values, and the fire pit. Now, what do you do next? Write it down. It's fine to listen to me, but I want you to get out a piece of paper and actually write down your stories. I actually keep in my iPhone a note called my story file, and it's a Word document that I link up through Dropbox. And don't trust your memory. Actually write these things down. Write down your stories and populate your story file so that when you need something, it's there for you. Make a heading that says funny, your funny stories, sad, poignant, whatever you want, but don't trust your memory. Capture your thoughts as they come. Now, I promised I would give a resource. I'm actually going to put the link in the description below, but the book, I'm going to grab it here, is called World Class Speaking in Action. It's written by 50 plus speaking coaches, and it gives tips on how to become a better speaker. And I'll include the link below. I think it's going to be a good book for you to read. I would also recommend Brendon Burchard's books, of course, not for speaking, but for life in general. So take those 7 tips, make a story file, and you will have stories. You'll have too many stories. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Leave a comment below. And if you want more on speaking, sign up at communicate2create.com.